bust your life up, cause I did.
What's going on, people? I'd like to welcome y'all to another episode of the BYLU Campaign podcast. You're here today with your hosts, Dan and Nate, and we're being joined by a special guest, a friend of ours, Lex. So what's going on, Nate?
It's Black History Month.
For surely. Are you being as black as you can be?
I think so.
I don't think so. You had some doubt in there. It's either a yes or a no.
I mean, I've been in the crib, so you know.
You ain't been out showing out your blackness.
Yeah.
We gotta get you out there.
For sure.
But that's good though. That's good.
For sure. This is our first night podcast, so this is gonna be interesting.
Yes, it is.
I'm excited.
It's gonna be a good one though. It's gonna be a good one. I'm excited for this one. The gems is gonna be dropped, and I'm ready to learn some things too. So let's get it. So I'm gonna let you introduce our special guest today. I'd like to thank you for joining us, Lex. It's good to have you here.
No problem.
Yeah. So, man, where do I start? So Lex.
Start with your back cracking.
Yeah. So Lex is a wellness teacher / healer, and what was it? Earlier this year. So honestly, one of our previous guests, Tunji, T Nero, aka Capo Nero, whatever you want to call him, he had been telling me, "Hey, yo, Nate, Lex does massages. You gotta sign up. You gotta sign up." And you know, I was supposed to sign up for one, but you know me. Sometimes I don't follow through with things. But anyways, earlier this year, my brother, he decided to treat me for Christmas. So we went and got a massage from Lex, and let's just say she works wonders. Like, I was doing yoga for most of 2019 up until about September, until my yoga instructor left the gym I was at. So I had fell off for like 3 or 4 months. So like, just getting back in with Lex and her stretching me out, it really helped me, because recently I just been, you know, doing some yoga at home, and like it got me to a good level where I was like, all right, man, I can hop back in. So thanks again for joining us, Lex.
No problem.
And now I'll let you, you know, give us a little intro, you know, a little about yourself.
Okay. So peace, everyone. I am Lex. Yes, a healer and wellness teacher. I have been living like a wellness lifestyle for 5 years now. That started with me going plant-based, vegan, whatever you want to call it. Now I offer tension release to others, which is a mix of Thai yoga massage, reflexology, and yogic breathing. I also offer wellness plans centered around nutrition and lifestyle change, and I'm working to develop other wellness products to share with everyone so that everyone can be their best self and live their most successful life.
So I have a question. Where did it start?
Yeah.
So my oldest brother got me started on the path. It all really began with like nutrition before it was anything else. I danced in high school. I took it seriously, but not seriously enough looking back. But I read this book called Nutricide by Dr. Laila Africa. And it just basically highlights and it just gives you a rundown of nutrition in America. We basically all live eating under what's known as SAD, or the standard American diet. And so what it helps you to do is kind of unlearn and relearn, shifting focus away from what you shouldn't eat or like what you're missing, and towards what you should be eating and what you need to include into your nutritional lifestyle. And it teaches you about the language of like manifesting, language surrounding health, how you should be more conscious when speaking on yourself and speaking on your health, and how to channel that into everyday life. It's a good read. It's he's kind of cynical, but he makes his point, and it's all scientifically based, or empirically based, should I say. So yeah, that's where it started with that book, and then it just kind of jumped.
Okay.
From there, I just kept finding more books, more resources. Then, of course, Dr. Sebi got big randomly, it seems like. So then I felt like I was just on trend, I guess, with how things were going. And I just started to combine all of the different knowledge pools that I was receiving or that I was entering into. And here we are 5 years later, starting a business
around it. So I have a follow-up question to that. Like that transition period, what was that like transitioning from your old diet to your new diet?
So I try not to use the word diet only because it has the word die in it, and we eat to live, not live to eat. So that's why I always say nutrition. Like you're going to hear it and it's repetitive, but it's a mindfulness practice.
Okay.
But so my nutritional change started with me. Well, actually, it was a dare. So even after I read the book, I wasn't really convinced.
Yeah.
But I'm very competitive in general, especially with my siblings.
Okay.
So my brother dared me. He said, "I bet you can't stop eating red meat and chicken overnight." So basically, I dare you, like I bet you can't go pescatarian overnight. So literally, I went home one day and I stopped eating all chicken, turkey, beef. I had already stopped eating pork, but like those three main things, oxtail, goat, because I was eating everything at that point. I stopped eating everything and went pescatarian. That was cool. That was like 11th grade. I did that for 2 years. And then when I went to college, I had planned to wait until after college. And I was like, why put off 4 years what I could do today? And I started to transition. I just went vegan, but I wouldn't recommend that because I didn't do it right for the first year and a half, being completely transparent. I was still eating many things that have like milk in them, because what you find out when you go vegan and you like really try to cut dairy is that they put milk in everything. Like for example, like tortilla chips, like the lime tortilla chips that everyone likes, milk. You know, and it's like simple things like that. You're like, why is there even milk in this? And so, probably for like the first year and a half, I wasn't doing well. And then I started getting more into food research and nutritional research. And that's when I learned like, and I did an internship at the FDA. And I worked specifically in the food additives department, editing GRAS notices, which are generally recognized as safe. Ain't nothing safe. So I was like, I'm about to just go ahead and try to eat as holistically, because it's like one thing to do the research, it's another thing to be in the actual building where these decisions are made and this research is done. Like the lab was 2 floors down.
Wow.
So I saw,
you could see everything.
Yeah, I saw everything. I cut it.
Jeez.
I cut it. Like that summer, I was like, yes, it's okay. So that's kind of how it got started, but it started from a dare. And then food research came, and then I started seeing real changes in my body. Like I had really bad acne, and then it went away. And I had like weight that I couldn't lose, and then I lost it. And I was always tired, and then I wasn't. So here we are 5 years later, actually doing it. I won't say correctly, but just more intentionally. And it's made a huge difference in my whole life. Yeah.
In your whole life. So you spoke on how it affected you on like a physical sense. How did it affect you like mentally?
So not to sound cliche, but like, I've suffered with depression like many people. And I definitely see now how being in like a depressive state creates like a cycle, if you will, of like you just keeping up the same habits. And sometimes you don't know how to like pull yourself out of that into a different mental plane. So with eating well, you do just you do feel better just because you have more energy, and you have like your mind is just redirected to a place where you can think better about yourself. Like I'm not as focused on like, or I stopped being as focused on taste and more focused on like, well, what is this going to do for my body? What vitamins and minerals am I receiving from this food? What are those vitamins and minerals? going to do for me in my body. And so it definitely helped to take me out of that like depressive state, and it showed me how much more control we have over our lives than we see. Like a lot of people kind of release and they're like not really willing to do the work to bring themselves to a different place. They're just like, well, you know, this is just kind of where I am right now. It sucks here, you know, like, and we do that with our health as well. We're like, well, I'm sick.
Yeah.
I'm just
that's
sick,
just it.
you know?
Yeah.
I'm sick. I feel sick. And that's just it. And it's like, okay, you're sick. What type of sick are you? Oh, you have the flu? Oh, okay. Why don't you get some elderberry syrup? Oh, you have a fever? Why don't you put onions on your feet to break the fever? Like, there's just so many things that you can do holistically that aren't really expensive and that are going to benefit you in the long run. So it's just like learning those types of things, you feel more empowered, and that trickles down and amplifies out into other aspects of your life.
So I need to redirect a question second.
But you sick?
Nah, bro. Cause like, I mean, I never get sick.
Right.
And even if I feel like I'm getting sick, I tell myself I'm not sick. Okay. I'm just that type of person.
Right.
And I don't take medication. Like if I get sick, I usually just drink some tea with some honey and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it's wintertime, so I was just curious if there's any other ways that people can use to like, whether it's prevent cough and cold and some of those things, or heal themselves when they are sick.
So flu season, sickness season is a myth, realistically. What's actually happening is that your body is like vitamin D deficient, and vitamin D is one of the key vitamins in like helping to build a healthy and strong immune system. So if you're not, like, literally when the sun goes away, that's typically, you know, like that's winter, that's fall. That's when you start to feel more sickly because your body's not receiving that same nourishment from the sun, especially as a melanated person, when your body is so reliant on the sun. When it gets time and the sun kind of goes away and it gets cold, we do retreat into ourselves. And it's not because like we're crazy. It's because literally like melanin works with the sun. Like we absorb it. We receive power from that. It's scientific. That's literally what chemistry is. Like that's a deeper conversation, but that's literally what chemistry is. It's like the study of melanin. Like melanin is a chemical, you know. But so what you would want to do during this time is you would want to eat foods, ingest herbs that are rich in vitamin D and calcium, and just whole foods. Like that should be a constant thing, because if you're eating the whole foods, it's easier to build up your immune system. It's almost, not even almost, it's disrespectful sometimes, like the amount of medication we put in our body. It's a slap in the face to our immune system, because if you're building it intentionally, you're not going to get sick. Yeah. You just won't. Or if you do, it'll be much easier for you to bring yourself back to a state of wellness rather than you being sick. Like some people will be sick for like months. Yeah. You know, like snotty nose, cough for months and won't do anything about it. They're just living in this perpetual state of like illness when you could literally take a week and bring yourself back to a more alkaline state in a number of ways. And it's just people, like I said, they don't want to, or they don't know how to take that control. So they don't. Yeah. But if you're eating holistically and taking care of yourself and, you know, eating what the earth has given you already, what God has given you already, how could you lose? Yeah. And that's when people contradict themselves. It's like, you say that God has given you everything that you need. Well, why do you keep trying to go around God? Or manipulate God, you know?
Yeah, I'm a snap for that.
Like, why you keep trying to go around that?
That's a bar.
Yeah, it's true though. It's true.
Nah, that is true. I mean, I'm a huge fan of like, I don't take the amount of times probably in the past, let's say 10 years, I've taken like, let's say a Tylenol or something like that. First of all, I've never taken, I know a lot of people take medication for like headaches. I've
Yeah.
never in my life taken
You just
Yeah, you know,
medication.
some
for
people
that.
take like a bare aspirin a day to
Yeah.
prevent heart attacks, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, but if you're drinking burdock tea and your blood is purified and oxidated,
Mhm.
how could your heart, you know? And if you've been exercising properly to exercise your heart because it's a muscle and you're pairing all these things together, why would your body
Yeah.
betray you almost, you know,
Mhm.
and give you a heart attack?
Yeah.
Why would your
that's
body do
facts.
that?
Yeah.
That's facts. It's crazy. I was thinking about that one day. I was just like, man, like, so there was like a family friend or whatever, and he passed away recently. Rest in peace. And it's kind of weird, right? Because he's a friend of my cousin, right? They're like a little older than me or whatever. But I'm just like, we are like all connected. So I'm used to like seeing him around. They'll probably like be out on the weekends. So I'll see them on like each other's story and stuff. So out of nowhere, he's like goes inactive. And then next thing you know, my mom was talking about like a funeral. And I'm like, what? He passed away? He was like, yeah, like he was sick for the longest. And it's just like the fact that you could see someone just looking so healthy and you don't really know what's going on inside of them. And then out of nowhere, like your body could just take you out. That always throws me off.
But see, that's like, that's why I'm always big on kind of debunking myths about health, especially myths that were taught to us by European people. Like, we all people, but we not all the same, you know, and that's on purpose, you know, like it's just the truth that everyone needs to kind of be okay with. That way we can move forward. Like you have to accept it so that we can just continue to just all live. So it's like, we're not all the same. So realistically, physical wellness is relative, you know, like it's super duper relative. And that's why you want to be intentional about what you're putting in, because some people's bodies are mystical and magical and they can eat whatever they want and look like they're in perfect health. And then all of a sudden there's cancer, there's diabetes, there's hepatitis. Or let's bring it even simpler. Like a girl can be bad and then all of a sudden
What?
I know what she's talking
you know
about.
what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like smells can just arise, you know what I'm saying? And that's a pH thing, you know? So it's like, she looks great. She looks magnificent. That dress is fire. Hair is laid. She smells like cocoa butter and whatever else you like, you know? And then you get in there and you're like, what is that?
Jesus Christ.
And it's an internal thing that's showing itself on the outside. And then also sometimes people don't know, it's like you don't see certain things. So what I learned is that in addition to like acne being a tell of poor internal health, like the absence or presence of hair where there's not supposed to be hair on your body, it's also a tell of internal health. So like if you all of a sudden just stop growing hair on your arms, that is connected to something inside of your body, you know? Like our bodies run on these meridians, these energy channels. We're vibrational beings. We're energetic beings. You know, we have electrical impulses the same as a cell phone, if you will, TV, anything else.
For sure.
So it's like you have to respect your body in the same way. You got to charge yourself up the same way you would charge your phone. But people will remember to put their phones on the charger and not remember to drink water for days. But you charge your phone up every night.
Yeah.
That's a phone.
That's crazy.
If it dies, you'll get a new one. If you die,
That's it.
That's it.
we can't get a new you know?
Nah,
so it's
that's
just
facts.
like those sort of relative like truths and what's just being like what's important to you.
No, I'm definitely big on drinking water. Like when I wake up, like my mom's like, Nathan, you always drink water when you wake up. Like, I don't know how you do that. I was like, Ma, you got to take an external bath and an internal bath. Like you got to charge yourself up, like you mentioned, with that water. But I'm also curious to hear, you mentioned some of the myths that we as a people, Black people,
For sure.
have, and it's Black History Month. Damn.
surely.
Okay. Let's educate folks on some of the nutritional myths that,
Or just myths in general.
or just
Don't
myths in
limit it to
general.
Nutrition.
oh yeah, just myths in general.
Well, I'll start with some nutritional myths.
Okay.
So the fact that people think that like soul food actually feeds the soul, when really most of what soul food was like leftover scraps from whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know, like whatever the enslaved people had cooked, like whatever they could scrounge up after that. Yeah, that is what the soul food was. You know what I'm saying? So you ate the pig intestines because, you know, that's all you had. That's all you had to eat. Like Massa ate everything else. You know, so it's like we, of course, us being creative. You know, like, and innovative, of course we made it taste delicious. Yes. But it's like we also need to see past what that time period was. Like soul food was something that was big during the time of enslavement. So you got to ask yourself now, like, are you still enslaved? Or do you want to continue the traditions that were, you know, like honor those who were enslaved, honor your ancestors, but it's like you also want to learn from whatever they went through and you want to create a better state for yourself now. So it's like, okay, cool. Soul food, delicious. Is there a way we can make it better now for ourselves? Like rather than having chitlins, could you have, I don't know, like smothered mushrooms or something like that? And mushrooms have a meaty texture anyway, which people don't know, you know, but it's like, if you're used to eating a lot of junk, it is going to be hard for you to appreciate whole foods because literally it's like your ability is blocked. Your body's not used to it. You know, if you're used to all these false sugars, fruit is going to be like whack to you, you know? It's going to be kind of sour, tart. It's not going to be...
Take some time.
Yeah, you know, like it's not going to have the same effect. And starches especially, like if you eat starches, it's a known scientific fact that it will be harder for you to digest fruits because it takes so much to digest starches. Wow. You know, and your palate will not be able to appreciate it in the same way. So that's the first myth, like soul food being just this great soulful thing. And it's like soul food should really be enriching the vessel that is protecting your soul. So that would be your whole body, not just like, oh, it tastes good right now, but what's it doing for you? So that's number one. Number two would be that eating meat is manly, because it ain't. And y'all gonna see. And I don't mean, whoa.
I some chicken today.
not specifically you all, but I'm saying like the effects of heavy meat consumption or meat-based lifestyles, it will be seen. Some people are already seeing it. And I know that just based off the number of people that contact me about erectile dysfunction.
So people are impotent.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening. And especially just because, and I'll say this specifically for the African and like Caribbean communities, this American meat is not the meat that your family is eating in Africa.
My mom always says that.
It's not the same. It's not similar. You know what I'm saying? The meat that's in Africa is like real, like these animals are fed off the land. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like there's more care put into them. They're not fed a bunch of hormones and all types of other chemicals like to make them big and beefy and meaty. Like, you know, they have things that they feed cows to make them already taste a little garlicky. You know, like there are chemicals they do so that it's already, you don't even gotta flavor the meat. It's already garlic in there. We tossed it in for you, right? In the nutritional mix. You know, so it's like, that's not good. And realistically, it's like the amount of meat that people consume, when you consume that much meat and your body has to work that hard to break it down, it puts pressure on your digestive system. It puts pressure on your major arteries and blood vessels, making it harder for blood to flow. You know, we all know how erections work. That's going to be a problem, you know, realistically. And not to mention the amount of meat that you eat, it's going to cause a buildup of mucus in your body. Mucus equals disease. You know, like that's how that goes. So it's like eating meat is not manly. And by no means am I trying to, you know, make anyone feel bad about their lifestyle. I'm just saying, everyone will say, well, why can't I eat in moderation? It's like, but are you? Are you?
I mean, would that be better?
I mean, perhaps it would be better. Perhaps it would be better, but it's like, you got to ask yourself, you're saying, like people always say to me, yeah, Alexis, but what if I eat in moderation? Okay, but the way you will sit and plan an entire meal around a meat, do you make sure to also include fruits during that day? Are you making sure to include some sort of herb during that day? Are you making sure that whatever vegetable you eat is not smothered in cheese or salt or some sort of like sauce or seasoning? Are you making sure that you're not cooking it to death? Because the more you cook the food, like the less nutritional value that it has. So realistically, meat is its healthiest when it's raw. That's why people eat pink steak more, because the protein that they're looking for, it's more present when it's cooked less. The more you burn it, the more you're burning away literally the nutrients
and stuff.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, are you actually working in some sort of moderative state, or are you just being defensive because you know that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you know that you're feeling the effects of not doing what you're supposed to be doing? You know?
Sheesh.
So, you know, those two myths. And what else? Water. All water's not built the same. And water's a hard thing because there are so many like conflicting studies, and it's hard for me too. Like it is. But if you're still drinking tap water in 2020,
what's gonna happen? You're gonna die.
I don't have nothing to say to you. Nothing.
Why not?
Nothing. I mean, at the very least, fluoride, you know, like you don't want to drink that. It calcifies your organs. And they say it's good for your teeth.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I use my toothpaste is fluoride free. I can't relate.
Okay.
And I don't have no gum disease. Nothing. And my teeth stay white. I can't relate. Fluoride is not good. It calcifies that little gland right here, your third eye. Keeps you from being intuitive. It keeps you docile. Literally, when it calcifies that gland, it keeps you docile. It keeps you from being able to reach your highest point of manifestation. And if you're good with that, by all means, put your mouth under the faucet. But if you see more for yourself, I would just implore you to get some spring water.
So spring water is the best?
Spring water, distilled water. And you can alkalize your own water with like limes and building, you know, your own charcoal system, whatever else. Like you can do it yourself. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying, like, once again, what's important to you. Girls will build whole beauty bars for makeup, you know, but won't put a couple limes in their water for their skin.
Sheesh.
Like, let's just be honest here. And you can do both. I'm not saying you can't do both. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying everyone want to yell at me about what if I balance it out, but it's no balance. It's none.
I have a question. I have two questions actually. So something came to mind, right? I was like, man, how did she go out to eat? So that's one thing. And the second one, just to put out there so I don't forget, was when we were speaking off air, you mentioned that you don't drink alcohol at all. And I wanted to know like why, if that was something that you learned over the past 5 years that sort of like motivated that decision, or something else, if you don't mind sharing.
Okay. So first question, how do I go out to eat? Realistically, the only places I can't eat are like American restaurants. Most international cuisine is more plant-based and more easy to modify if it's not plant-based. Only like American cuisine, quote unquote, because I don't even, is it cuisine? But like only American cuisine is like heavily focused and like processed ingredients, dairy, meats, and I can't do anything about like, I can go get Habesha food, you know? I can typically go get Caribbean food. What else? Listen, Kenyans know what they're doing with the vegan food. Let me tell you. Kenyans know what they're doing with the vegan food. Mediterranean food. What else? I eat vegan ramen. There's vegan sushi. And there's a number of things. I stay away from like the meat substitutes because I feel like that's cheating. Like I feel like if I was going to eat a burger and I wanted it to have the grit of a burger and the juiciness of a burger and that like red, I would just eat meat again. I would just go back to eating beef. Like I liked steak when I ate it, you know what I'm saying? I would just go back. So now I just kind of don't do that. Not to mention soy is super bad for everyone. Causes acne, very heavy in estrogen, which is not
gives men
positive.
boobs.
Estrogen is like not something that you want an abundance of as a female or as a male. Like there are other hormones that are more important than estrogen in a woman.
I thought estrogen was super healthy for women. I just thought when the men had it, that's when you had to be warrior.
That has like very recently been like proven to.
So that got debunked also?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Estrogen is like not something you want an abundance of in your body. It actually throws the other hormones out of balance. It throws the other hormones out of balance. So soy, I would stay away from it. Most soy things give me acne. Like I'll break out immediately if I eat soy. Like 2 hours later, face is inflamed at this point. So I won't eat it, but I stay away from all of those types of things. It's just cheating. Like if you want to change your life while you keep trying to go back. It's not like making pasta, you know, like there's actually chickpea noodles, you know what I'm saying? And like zucchini noodles for stuff like that. But I'm like burgers, crab cakes, fried chicken drummies, vegan chicken nuggets, vegan sausage, vegan egg scrambles. I'm like, what are we talking about? So we're really,
Like you ain't really
then you try to make people feel bad, but all you did was try to like replace it. So directly, like it's whack to me. You know, it varies, but like all that type of stuff is whack to me. And then as far as drinking, I don't drink because I've had alcohol poisoning too many times. More realistically than like a health thing. There is a health aspect to it because it does like it's heavy in sugar. It's highly chemical, especially here in America, because it's in such heavy demand that it's rushed. Like I went to Mexico and had tequila, and we are not drinking tequila here. That is not tequila. Like I'm not gonna name drop no brands, but that is not tequila. It's not, because the tequila in Mexico didn't even burn.
It was smooth. Huh?
Yeah, you could drink it like water.
What? Literally
drink it like water. And Mexicans do though, typically. Like it takes more shots to get like drunk like that off tequila in Mexico. So I don't drink more so for that aspect, like the alcohol poisoning, but it's heavy in sugar. Sugar stresses the arteries, you know, and heavy sugar causes acne. For women, a lot of sugar makes your like menstrual cycle worse. That's why it's dumb to eat ice cream when you're on your period. It's going to get worse. Your cramps are probably going to get worse. Your bleeding will probably be heavier. You know what I'm saying? It weakens the immune system. It weakens the endocrine system, which is responsible for hormones. It can cause adrenal fatigue, which regulates like homeostasis, your heartbeat, sleeping patterns, all of those things. So it's just not worth it for the liquor thing. And I found that I don't have more fun when I'm drinking. Most people don't. That's why they call it wine and spirits, because when you drink, your actual spirit comes out. And most people are just mean because they're mean-spirited people. And I have fun either way. So it's cool.
I like that.
I
like that answer.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, that's hard. It's crazy too, like in terms of like the spirit aspect. It was somebody I had met one time, this lady, and she was talking about that, like, why do you think it's called spirits? Like you're not, like she was basically talking to the fact of how we're like, my true self comes out when I get drunk.
Yes.
And just understanding like there's something that comes out when you do get drunk, yes. But the fact that the thing that's activating that is called a spirit. Like she was speaking on like more of like spiritual aspect of it. Like sometimes some people actually get taken over by another spirit. That's not really your true self.
And so, see, that's like my next point. And that, I mean, depending on which spiritual practice you follow and have studied, it's used in ritual, you know, like for possession has such a negative connotation, but for like possession, like it is used to bring other spirits out into the physical world and bring them most of the time into like other people. So it has that dual meaning, which is all the more reason why I'm like,
just don't stay away.
I'm not doing no rituals at the bar, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna just go ahead and leave that. But like me personally, Yeah, we're gonna share. Me personally, like, I'm like a Kemetic spiritualist, so like I follow like Kemetic pantheon
and such.
and attributes and stuff like that. And so for me, like on my altar, when I'm looking to supercharge my ancestors, I will put a shot glass of tequila out for them in an honorific sense. So it has that meaning, but you know, like I'm not just about to be out here shotting tequila anymore. I can't even do it now. My tolerance is so low. I can't drink. I'll be like the drunk girl.
Stumbling.
Never stumbling.
Hey,
I'll just,
get it right, bruh. Get it right.
Stumbling,
Nate, whose side you on?
Never stumbling. I have like a thing against that for myself. Like I just don't
like
want to
being
be
sloppy drunk.
I don't want to be the bid. I don't want to be the girl on someone's like
somebody
Instagram or Snap like,
nah,
look at that
facts.
girl,
You
she
feel
look
me?
crazy. I don't have
Nah, that's facts.
You wake up the
That's
next
facts.
morning, you just like, that was me. You be that's not good for
I don't
nobody.
want to be that. More power to you if you're cool, but no,
Nah,
thank you. No thanks.
Nah, I was thinking that we transitioned from the nutrition to yoga. What do y'all think about that?
There's like so many things.
I'm gonna come clean. I was more trying to hear about like the people aspect of it. You feel me? Like,
oh yeah,
how
go
we
ahead.
talking about like relationships and
Okay.
you know what I'm saying, the dynamics between like how we interact with each other and things of that sort.
Okay.
I think that's pretty interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have like a question, or you?
Oh,
think
no,
I'm just
I
about to
don't-
start
Oh, so
spitting?
all right. So building healthy relationships.
Yeah,
we had mentioned
yeah.
that as
Yes, which is a part
potential
of
topic.
wellness.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's
So
right. You
can we
wanna
dive
go
into that? I don't have a necessary
All right,
question.
so I'm gonna start off top.
Okay.
What would you define to be a healthy relationship or a healthy connection?
So a healthy relationship has a healthy connection. And that connection to me would include at the forefront honest and effective communication. And what I mean by that is like having the emotional language to define how you're feeling, being able to self-reflect enough to know why you're feeling that way, so that you're not just like flying off the handle or nitpicking at people, and also holding yourself accountable to see like, wait, am I doing the things that I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like holding someone else accountable for. And that extends beyond romantic relationships. That
For sure.
extends into friendships, family relationships,
Yeah.
parent-child relationships, which I don't think many parents do. You know, like to
For sure.
ask themselves, are they being the example for whatever they're requiring of their child?
Yeah.
So I would say those things. Next, I would say a certain level of respect for whoever is in that relationship.
For sure.
Compassion for them when necessary. Empathy for that with that person, and what's the last one? How do I want to put it? And I don't know, like honesty, but like being able to tell people like, this is not what you want to be doing, you know? Because I feel like with people that we're in relationships with, especially like the more sometimes you'll love them, you'll be more willing to just kind of like, you don't want to hurt their feelings, so you won't say anything.
Yeah.
But I think it's more hurtful to not say anything, because then you're letting that person fall into like self-destructive, self-loathing, traumatic, all the other negative emotional words, like all of those patterns and cycles.
sure.
And then it's like you're an enabler and you're a jerk because you watched them fail.
Yeah, you watched them crash out.
You literally watched it and like patted them along as they failed.
So I have a question, right? How do you have that balance between, hey, you're messing up in this area and I told you, and I've told you 100 times and you're not changing, so sometimes I gotta let you crash and burn.
So I think the balance varies depending on what type of relationship, one. Because it's much easier to, like, with a friend, be like, all right, I done talked about this too many times. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? That becomes a little bit more complex with a romantic partner or like a parent, you know?
For sure.
So I think that's the first thing. It varies based on relationship. I think two, everyone has to just be aware of their boundaries. Everyone has to be protective of their boundaries and realistic with their boundaries. That's what it really comes down to. Like, what is your hard no?
Yeah.
You know, for something. And then also asking yourself, like, if you address something with someone and you feel like they're not changing, is it that they're not changing, or is it that they're not changing fast enough for you? And then for me, I always ask myself, well, who am I to expect them to change within this timetable that I've created in my mind when there are so many things that have gone into why they could be this way? And then that loops back into, well, what are my hard no's? You know, and what's my, like, breaking point with these hard no's? And once you kind of know those things, and of course those things, like, evolve as you learn more about people. But once you, like, know those things, then you say, okay, well, maybe they did, you know, like, they tried. It's not great.
For sure.
You can be honest, like, it's not great, but they did try twice. But and you just work on it. But only you can kind of, like, define that for yourself after having honest conversation with yourself and perhaps the other person.
No, that's real. That's real. Because you definitely, in our heads, when we ask someone to do something, we have a timetable which we expect it to be changed or converted. But a follow-up question is, bruh, you gonna get to it?
No.
Oh, I thought you was trying. I thought you was trying to come. I thought you had a question.
Now I'm waiting on you. I'm just listening.
Question on boundaries, right? That's something I'm still learning to do. Do you walk into a relationship and already set boundaries, or does someone have to cross a boundary, then you say, hey, you cross a boundary? How does that work for you?
So for me, with my current relationship, I walked into it with nothing but boundaries and guards up, like just endless, because I wasn't, and they were like, I wasn't as aware of them as I thought I was, because I thought I was more healed than what I thought I was. And it wasn't until I got into the relationship that I was like, oh man,
They got work
I was like, they really did a number on me, huh, boy? Like, but I would say now I'm at the point where most of the boundaries that I walked in with, I have released, because I know my boyfriend more, and I know more about, like, his history as, like, a person and as, like, a man. Like, I just know more of the things that he's gone through. And I am always thinking, even in arguments, like, if he reacts a certain way, I'm like, how did we get to this point? How did he get to thinking this way? So for me, like, a hard no for me now is I'm not yelling in arguments. Like, you're not going to yell at me. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm working on not cursing in arguments. It's not there, but I'm working on it. But it'll be like the calmest cuss out ever though, because I won't yell. Like, it'll be so calm. But that's a big thing for me. So, like, if we get into an argument and his voice starts to raise higher than a decibel that I'm comfortable with, I literally will be like, hey, listen, I'm going to shut down if you get any louder. Like, I'm not going to be able to talk to you. And it's a trauma thing for me, because yelling was, like, the medium of expression in my house between, like, one of my parents and myself. So I can't take it. I turn back into, like, a 4-year-old, and I just, I can't do it. So that's, like, my hard no. We're not going to yell. But other boundaries, I feel like, are more fluid and flexible, and they just kind of arise. And sometimes you don't know necessarily when you need a boundary until you get there. And so then when you get there, you need to be able to communicate what that boundary is, and whoever is in that relationship with you hopefully will be receptive. And if they're not, you still protect that boundary because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the boundary is not about them.
Yeah.
It's about you.
Yeah.
And protecting yourself. So it's like, okay, you don't want to. Oh, you okay? Yell. Yell, right? All right. I'm gonna stop talking.
Wow.
So I'm hogging the mic, Dan.
Nah, hey,
I have a follow up. So how do you set boundaries with prior relationships? Like
that were already established.
Yeah, established. And it's like, I want to establish this boundary, but you've been treating me this way for, let's say, 10 years.
Specifically to romantic relationships?
Nah, not just like general relationships. It could be parents, it could be friends as well.
With relationships like that already have precedent and you're trying to establish a new boundary, the best thing to do is just, well, in my opinion, the best thing to do is to just say what the boundary is and explain why it's non-negotiable for you. Like, and how you got to the point of this boundary even being a necessity.
Yeah.
And once you can do that, then, like I said, you always kind of hope that the person on the other side or the people on the other side will be respectful. But if they're not, that's where you build like a sense of mental fortitude for yourself, where it's like, I have thought so coherently and so like honestly about this boundary. Yeah. And I've been so self-reflective and even coming to this point that I can't let you like discourage me from enforcing this. Like, I need this. Yeah. It's of necessity to my peace.
Yeah, and for this relationship to work.
Yeah, and for this relationship to work. And then it's like, if the person is unwilling, not unable, because it of course will take time, you know, like when establishing a new boundary. But if they're unwilling to even try, they're not genuinely interested in that relationship. Like, I don't care what anybody says. They're not interested. Because why would you do that? If you're interested in making it work, why would you wouldn't even try?
Yeah.
You're not even going to see how it goes? Dip your toe in the water? Forget it then.
Nah, that's real. Danny, you up, brother?
Oh, I thought you know what I'm saying. You done ball hogged all night. I thought you was going to keep it going.
Kobe, RP to the GOAT.
For sure. So my question is, so when you were speaking on how initially when you first hopped into your relationship, you was like, man, I thought like I had made more progress than I realized I actually did, right? So I just had one of those full circle moments this week or whatever, where, so previously I was like, man, I'm not like vulnerable at all. I'm not like open to people. I don't share. Like,
but you want to date though.
Nah, he was saying this is previously though.
Oh, okay. No. Okay. Yeah, so this is like a couple years
He's
ago.
A progressive man.
Shut up. So this is like 2016, 2017 when I realized this, right? Okay. Because like for years, women always hit me with the, like, I know you for so long, but I don't know nothing about you. Or you're like a mystery, whoop-de-whoop. And I was like, it's lit. Like, you don't know nothing. That's good. Like, you don't got no ammo to use against me. That was like my whole thing. It was like, if you don't know things that can be used to, like vulnerability, things that could be used to harm you. If you don't know nothing that you could use to harm me, then you can't harm me. And that also makes it easy for me because I could walk away easily because we don't have no like real connection, right? Or whatever. And so like I went through like a whole dating series, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And all of those ended because I was not able to be vulnerable. Like I was even told a couple of times, like, like it just don't open up. You're just very closed off, whoop-de-whoop. So I like took some time off and like I found Brene Brown. I don't know if you're familiar. Auntie Brene, she has a TED Talk on vulnerability. So I found her work, her research, read some books, like delved into like understand more of myself, and I thought I did. And then recently I was like, all right, bet. Let me start, you know what I'm saying, paying attention to some people, see what's up. And I'm still getting hit with the same thing. People still talking about something like, yeah, you're not very open, or like, I feel like I'm not getting to know you for real, whoopty whoop.
So
did I even have a question?
I can sense what you're trying to ask
Oh,
though. And in that instance, I would say that your spirit may be protecting you from like opening up. Because if you've done all of those things and you've like, and it seems that you've made an extremely conscious effort to like open yourself up to vulnerability, you know, and to share that with others. And I'm sure there are people who you are vulnerable with. So and that's what I'm saying, like that you are vulnerable with and that you feel comfortable enough to do that with. Mm-hmm. It may be that your spirit doesn't sense that you are comfortable enough to do that with these people, and it's just not meant to be that way. Like perhaps you haven't found a space within someone else where you feel like you can be those things. Now, you could perhaps still be, you know, holding on to some things, but at the end of the day, it's like, if that person is that person for you to like share those types of, like to share that type of energy with them, it'll happen. You know what I'm saying? Because that was me. Like I got hurt bad. I took a year off, like, and I was like, and then I got rejected like 3 times. Like,
for real?
I was crushed.
I would have been like, yeah, let me hang it up.
I know, literally, I was like, well,
the game ain't for me.
We're gonna just be the cool friend at all the wedding, like, and that was just gonna be that. And
crazy.
It was immediately when like I really had given up, I don't even want to say I found it. A space came to me to be vulnerable. And I didn't mean for it to happen. Like I said, I walked in incredibly guarded. Like, and I would tell him, I'd be like, I don't really know about you sometimes. Like, just, you know, this is kind of random.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't expect this.
You know, like it just kind of came out of nowhere. And while also being very like open with the issues that I know that like I have, you know? So it's like, for me, my thing is like, I'm always like waiting for people to leave. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. Family. Like I'm always waiting for people to leave. Like I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like,
and I gotta leave first.
Yeah,
I gotta beat you to it.
Yeah, like you're not going.
Right.
You're not gonna hurt me. You know what I'm saying?
I'll show you.
But now it's
I bet I beat you in this race.
Yeah, like
I
bet I win. But now it's just kind of like, not even kind of. Now it's to the point where, oh man, I have been so vulnerable. I know that if he like genuinely wanted to like not be with me, he would have. And he could have. And he could have done that at any moment in the first week, in the first day, in the first hour. He could have been like, all right, this ain't it. You know, I'm gonna head out. But he hasn't. And it's been like 2 years now. So I've had to let it go. I wasn't trying to. I was always like...
I'm always had this guard up.
I was like, I don't know. You're going to leave and wake up tomorrow.
Bob and weed.
Yeah, but it's like now at this point, it's like almost immature of me to hold on to that because he has proven like... Yeah, you be crazy some days and you done went through some things and I'm still cool. And
I'm
it's
still
okay
here.
if you're like yourself. And that's new for me. That's really new for me. So I get it. But that's what I'm saying. You just may not be in that space yet. And you may also be looking too hard.
I'm not.
So it's actually funny.
It's weird.
Because I was about to make an intro. I was about to say, so the follow-up to me and his comment, we were having a conversation because he had told me like, yo, man, I did all this work and Shawty said, I'm not vulnerable, bro. I'm sick. He said, I'm about to go read some books.
Yeah, I went back to my I pulled my whole Renee Brown stack out. I had put it like in a cut. I went and grabbed. I'm like, man, I might have to revisit y'all. Like, what's up?
But we had a conversation. I realized, like, for at least for myself, I can be vulnerable when I feel like we're both about to be vulnerable. But when it's vulnerability in terms of pursuit, it's like, whoa, that's a little different. Yeah. So, because we were saying, like, the pursuit of a woman is a vulnerable.
It's a vulnerable act.
It's a vulnerable act, right?
It is.
Say like, hey,
you're putting yourself out there.
For sure,
you can get rejected and all that stuff.
For a number of things.
Facts.
For
Rejected, hurt, played with, lied to, betrayed.
Swindled.
Yeah.
Finessed, if you see.
I'm smelling some trauma. Okay.
Nah, I ain't never get finessed. I tell you that.
And it's like, if you're, because people coming to me or me filling people out has always worked for me. Like, I've never had to super like pursue someone in a way, like say, I want her and I'm about to go chase. I'm about to run 100 miles an hour to go pursue that. I've always, whether it's interacted with people or put myself in situations where I don't have to do that. Okay. Where I can go, like, let's say 30 miles and 30 miles per hour and still, you know what I'm saying, interact with that person or get that person that I'm pursuing. It usually takes a lot longer, but it has worked for me. So like, but now I think as we're maturing and getting older, that time period where someone's like, what are your intentions with me is shrunken. It's smaller. Yeah.
Because they ask like you first day.
You
but
can't.
See, okay, here's my thing with that, and this is what I will say. I feel like there, like, within our generation, in my opinion, there seems to be like a split between those who are doing like inner work and trying to like really know themselves
for sure
in multiple like dimensions of themselves, and those who could, and then there's those who could care less, and then there's those who think they're doing the work, and what they're really doing is like just sort of throwing feelers out in all the wrong directions and haven't learned the lesson that they're not really being as intentional with what they think that they're doing. So I feel like with that being said, there are probably, first of all, the older you get, the more the potential, especially if you're not doing the inner work, the more potential for like you having had accumulated like a lot of trauma or like hurt or angst, you know, just anything. Yeah. So of course, if you think you've been doing the work and you really haven't, and you've just been accumulating all this angst, of course you're like, you know, get to know you period with, you know, no sense of obligation is going to be much shorter. But also that speaks to like the larger thing where everyone feels such a pressure to like get married and create this perfect life, and just there's no space for getting to know someone. There's no space for letting someone get to know you. There's not really any space for like either one of you to feel out just the complete energy of you all's interaction. Everybody wants everything on the first day. Me personally, I didn't know I had a boyfriend for 6 months. You know, like just because I thought we were just chilling, you know.
Oh,
like,
you didn't. So he his like, mind, you was his girl.
I was his girl the first day we apparently but
hey, I like cuz.
shout out to my guy.
The thing is, for me, is like I was so, and I wasn't like, you know, talking to anybody else or dating or doing anything with anybody else. Like it was literally just him. But like I was like, you know, I rushed it last time. I pressed it. You know, so now we just gonna see how this goes. And then he introduced me as his girlfriend. I was like, are we together?
You said that loud?
Found out?
After the person left, I'm not gonna embarrass him. I'm not that like vapid. But I was like, when they walked away, I was like, am I your girlfriend? He was like, we're together. I was like, how long have we been together? And so it just kind of like, you know, it just kind of went like that. So it was definitely very organic. I'm serious. Like, it was definitely
That's hard.
just very like organic in that sense. And that's why I'm saying there's so much expectation and obligation that we project onto other people based on our own emotional shortcomings and hurt feelings.
For sure.
And realistically, you can't expect anything from anyone, not your parents, sister, brother. Like, you can't, and you shouldn't, though, you know, because you should be building up that sense and that spiritual intelligence with like for yourself within yourself. Because otherwise you're always going to be codependent on that person. I'm not saying don't lean, you know, when you're feeling weary, but I'm just saying realistically, it's like we're all alone at the end of the day. Because even if you're with someone, you're still alone with your thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, you're still alone with your pain before you speak it out to anybody else. It's yours before it can like mold with anyone else's, you know, experience. So it's just like, I think realistically, you just may not be in that space, or you may not be receiving the same level of like emotional maturity as far as vulnerability goes that you would want, or that your spirit would want. And you shouldn't rush that, you know, like it's plenty of fish in the sea.
Oh God.
Keep swimming, my brother. Keep swimming.
You haven't really, you know, like you
billion.
haven't really, you don't know what could come, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like, continue to focus on yourself and be like open to new experiences, but don't force it. Like,
I don't force nothing. That's the thing, though.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm just saying, like,
You don't sound like you believe me.
I mean, because it seems not even
hold on, time out.
What?
That just turned into a therapy session for me. I feel like I'm in a red table talk.
No, because everybody,
Pink table talk, my brother.
everybody
Oh, for sure.
wants love and like, you know, like wants to be loved. I don't care what you say. You want love from someone, something, depending on your lifestyle, whatever. But it's like, you seem like you would be cool with, you know, having a girl. Like, you don't hate the idea of being in a relationship. You're not pressed for it, but you don't hate the idea of it. And so that's why I'm saying it's just something that will flow to you in time.
You listening, Nate? This for you.
And you have plenty of time.
Hey, man. I mean, things like that usually flow to me.
Yeah.
But I was listening to something where it said, if you only get, like as a man, if you only accept what woman comes to you, you won't always get what you want. If that makes sense?
So basically, what you're trying to say is that if you don't go, because were we talking about this?
Yeah, we're talking.
Yeah, so we were saying that so there's like the whole thing about like choose people who choose you, right? And there's some people who won't choose other people until they could verify like, hey, that person chose me, or like, time out, let me start over. So basically what we were talking about was that there's some things that like come to you, and there's some things that you kind of got to go after, right? But how do you differentiate between the two? And how do you know like, okay, this is worth putting my energy towards, and this is a moment where I have to be like the pursuer of such thing, whatever's on the opposite end, or when it's another moment where it's like I should be attracting it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everyone should be in pursuit. It should just, the pursuit is not going to be identical just based on like the laws of attraction and the roles that people play in relationships. So it's like my pursuit of my boyfriend, even within our relationship, is not going to be the same as his pursuit of me, because we're not the same person.
For sure. I
Like,
believe that.
we don't need the exact same things from each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm very sensitive, and I just became okay with like being sensitive. So for me, I need someone who's going to be like, you know, not judging me when I cry, because I will cry. And it's just, you're going to have to be all right with that. I'll also smack you. But, you know, like, I'm just saying, like, you're going to have to be, okay
like
with that.
that.
Yeah. And he doesn't need those same things for me. He needs like more compassion for me because the women in his life haven't always been very compassionate with him. And he needs me to allow him to like, and everybody's gonna hate this, but like be a man because the women in his life haven't really like allowed him to, you know, like be a man and take that role. And that's not me releasing power. Like I'm very powerful as a woman, like, and I'm a very dominant woman, you know, like I'm very confident, but that like me letting him lead ish doesn't take away from me. And it's like, also, if I'm letting him lead, is he like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's still, you know, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's still just like a balance that's presented because he's also not going to like make a crazy move without talking to me
So there's that trust.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like developing that level of trust. That's why it's like everyone gets so caught up in like, well, I don't want to be submissive. It's like, no, it's not submissive. It's like, if he respects you, he's going to make sure that you're included.
For sure.
Of course. But if he doesn't respect you, he's going to.
Yeah. Your best interest.
He's going to move real crazy. But it's like, if you trust him, you're going to know that he's always moving with the best intention for both of you all and that he has you in mind. And if you don't know that, you shouldn't be with someone. If you can't trust that, you should not be with them.
I agree.
Seriously. Because that's dangerous. And you're always going to be trying to like please and prove and.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's like you following someone's lead doesn't mean you're dimming your light, right? Yeah. For example, like me and Danny we do the podcast and we do projects together. Sometimes he's leading and sometimes I'm leading, right? And it's just like, we're both at the end of the day equals when we come to any space. But it's like, hey, sometimes you need a lead. Maybe this person is more fit to lead in this situation.
The level of leadership will vary depending on what strengths are necessary to like, whatever situation we're in. And so I think that's where like women work like towards their own detriment rather than towards their own benefit, because it's like you're so focused on like not letting no man tell you what to do or not letting no man, you know what I'm saying, make you feel like you're not empowered. How can any man take your power from you? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that goes back to the control thing that I just feel like I've kind of learned. It's just like, baby girl, if you're empowered, if you are, not if you feel, if you are, if it's a fact, if it's a piece of knowledge about yourself, if you know that you are empowered, how can anyone take that knowledge from you? That knowledge of you being empowered? How can anyone take that, like, you know, that queenness, whatever you want to call it, that charisma? Like, how can anyone take that from you? Yeah. Any man, if you're so secure about that within yourself, it's only when you're not secure that you're going to be like, I ain't going to let a man tell me what to do. Sometimes you need to shut up. Yes. I be needing to shut up. I know, too. I always know when I need to shut up. He don't even really got to say nothing. I be knowing.
Yeah, and it's real. It's just like little kids. Like, you say, "Hey, sit down over there." You ain't about to tell me what to do. It's just like, it's not that deep. I'm just asking you to sit down.
Yeah, and I experienced that at work. It's like, I'm not telling you to sit down because I think it's fun to get on your nerves. I'm telling you that maybe because it's unsafe for you to be standing up right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at the bigger picture rather than just how you feel. But like women, we are more. I wouldn't even say we're more emotional. I'd say we're more overtly emotional. Like typically, like we're more expressive of that. Men will kind of
suppress.
I wouldn't even say suppress. I just would say that you guys are more selective about who and when you guys share those things with. Because I definitely feel like you guys have all the same emotions. Y'all just not gonna let everybody see that. We're more likely to let everyone see that. Yeah. So it's like, if you're feeling a type of way, girl, just like it's going to be okay. You don't got to always react off emotion. That's where like emotion is more of a feminine aspect of spirit, because we're like a more communal people. So we're like, connection is more of a necessity to us. When men, you guys are more, and whoever's listening, like, don't think that I'm saying like we don't think or, you know, like they don't feel. I'm just saying, as far as feminine and masculine aspects of spirits go, we're not talking about people like, you know, the male aspect is more critical and like
more logical.
It's more logical. Like it's more thought based. You know, like rationalize. Well, A plus B. You know, so when you learn to pair that as a person, whether male or female,
you're a beast.
You're going to be balanced. You're going to be more settled. You're not going to flip off the handle, you know, for everything. And you're also going to think before you react, you know, like you're going to decide what's important, what's not important, who's important, what's not important. But you know, these joints.
Yeah, I like your style.
Just
for sure.
Feel how you feel, but don't be trying to ruin your whole life over like how you feel for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour.
Sheesh. Was there any other topics that we were supposed to hit?
Nah, I think we hit everything for.
You sure?
I believe so.
Sheesh. Is there anything that you would like to hit, Lex? I don't want to miss out on nothing.
No, you had said something about yoga earlier. What did you want to say about yoga?
You said, oh yeah.
What were you? Yeah.
I was just gonna hop into the topic.
For real? I got something.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, in terms of what your business practice, right? But what you offer, one, what made you want to open that to the public? Because as you said at first, it was something you just did like super low key. You feel me?
Yes.
You had like a beta tester and everything. Shout out the tune for surviving. And two, you also spoke on like finding ways to use that to create, I would say, a sense of freedom for yourself through like having products that you could put out and services and things that could work for you. Like, I think those two things were pretty cool.
So as far as the tension release and yoga, opening those up, the yoga, I think I was more comfortable with opening up to the public because there already seems to be like a greater market for that, for yoga. Like it's big right now. And as far as tension release, I was nervous about it just because it's people's like bodies with my hands on them.
Yeah,
you know?
for
like
sure.
It's just more personal.
Yeah.
When it's like hands on, like yoga, I'm like, and breathe, take a step back. You know what I'm saying? Open your heart to the sky. Like, you know, it's more like you based. You're still leading your own body.
Yeah.
Literally, tension release is like my manipulation of your muscles, meridians at a more cosmic level of your spirit, you know? Like, so I was a little bit nervous just with yoga because, I mean, with yoga, it's like overly saturated. So I didn't want to be just like another, you know what I'm saying, yoga person. But then I had to realize that even if there are a million people who are yoga teachers, there's not a million me's doing yoga.
Facts.
And I'm always going to have something, you know, different to offer to that. And that's a confidence, like I said, that I had to build up to. But so that, and then for tension release, I decided to share that with the world because honestly, very transparent. I'm tired of people complaining about the bad sex they have. I'm sorry. That is how it started. Like,
for real?
That is how it started.
Whoa, all right.
Hold on.
We about to get into a discussion. This is not ending.
That's fine. I'm not in a rush. That's fine.
Right.
Like, but that was like a very big thing for me. So I've been counseling people in a number of ways for at least 3 years now. It just depends. Like, especially after my radio show, people, I guess, like my perspective, they wanted to know like what I thought about whatever they were going through. And there's just so many stories that I've heard, and people don't really seem to be enjoying sex, which is super unfortunate because it unlocks so much like manifestation energy. Like the base of manifestation and creativity is at like the base of the spine. Like that's where like your life force energy, your kundalini, whatever you want to call it, like it starts there, and it's pretty easy to open with sex. You know, there's like sex rituals and stuff. We're not going to get too deep into that tonight because that's not y'all business. But like, not y'all two specifically, but I'm just saying like that's a conversation for like us one-on-one counseling thing. But and it works. But just people complaining, they not really having fun. I'd be like, but you enjoyed yourself, right? They'd be like, it was so, and I just feel like some of that comes from the internal health aspect, which I clearly try to help people with all the time. But a lot of it comes from just people being so tense, they're not able to ever really like release and let themselves go enough. And I mean, I'm good at reading people's bodies. I can tell people's hips are tight, when their backs are tight, when they got their shoulders up to their ears, like when their jaws are clenched. People always got their fists balled. Like, we just hold tension in so many ways. So my goal is just to help you, like, enter into a very a lower level meditative state and just relax your body. Let me press some things out, activate some meridians, some energy channels, and help you to breathe better, because people don't be breathing. You saw how important breath was during your session. Yeah, like people don't breathe well. And that's what we need most of the time, is just take a second to like really inhale, like hold, exhale. And it makes a big difference. Yeah. So, yeah.
I would say yoga definitely helped me a lot with just breathing and just remembering to breathe in certain moments. Like sometimes I'm just going through my day, I'm like, and just take a little breather. But quick question.
Quick answer. Maybe.
So these people who are reaching out frustrated, men and women? Okay.
Men and women.
For different reasons?
It would be like, it'd be kind of like the same reasons most of the time. Like, men would say it wasn't fun because, like, first it was the girl didn't know what she was doing. And then after, like, more questioning, because people just don't know how to, like, explain the situation sometimes, it would get into, like, a moisture thing or, like, a rhythm aspect, sometimes a flexibility thing, and then for women it would be like a stamina thing, endurance. Those are kind of the same. Yeah, like a stamina, endurance thing, flexibility, and rhythm. So like rhythm and flexibility were like the most consistent, and then of course moisture and what was the other one I said for men? Stamina would be like a little different. Like girls would be like wanting rounds, and their like partners would like burn out very, very quickly, and like with no sort of like, in the refractory period would be like 24 hours or something like that. They would need like a 2-hour nap or something crazy like that. Yeah. So I was like giving like herbal advice for what I could. And then I would just be like, well, maybe if you just do some hip openers, or like, I'll come. Because people aren't good with like following directions or like looking at a picture and then applying that picture to their body. Yeah. So I was like, I mean, I could come and help, I guess, if you need that. But I don't even think people like sex anymore. So I just give advice where I can and keep it pushing, because it's a lot of smelly, dry, loose vagina and a lot of quick, flaccid penis. So damn. I'm just calling it spade. Yeah. I got herbs for most of that stuff, but I can't help everything. For sure. For real. I cannot.
It's just crazy how like.
But so y'all are like in disbelief, right?
Oh no! I believe it. I believe it. Especially.
No, I'm not in disbelief. I'm not in disbelief. It's more so. It's just interesting that like that came the.
Yeah, that's what started.
That was sparked that.
That's what like.
Not the brand, but like that sparked the tension release.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like
that's kind of interesting.
just because people didn't know how to like manipulate their bodies, and they would just want like one piece of advice, and then it would turn into like multiple pieces of advice. So I just like, well, I could come and you do like a full body thing. And that's what I'm saying. Most people, after they get attention release, they feel like, my last client said this to me. He was like, I feel like I could go to sleep, but I also feel like I could dunk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For real?
No, like just like even anytime, even for me, like if I, of course, with attention release, even when I leave yoga, it's like I leave like I got energy, but like I could go like chill and take a nap.
Yeah, because I've seen you
or I can go start my day.
You always see people after
you
the
always
sessions,
post people
they'll be,
sleeping.
like, dead.
And I'm just like, y'all just be falling asleep like that? Like, what's going on? Like,
yeah.
Like you really just, they go smack
because
out right
by
after.
the end of it, here's really what it is. By the end of it, I have caused your blood to circulate so well that your body's like, all your muscles are being like, they're just all so relaxed. Like the blood is just coursing through your body and you're just zen. But then also you like, but I'm loose though. So like,
You want to test it
if
out?
they wanted to see me on the court right now, it would be nothing. It would be like water. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
That's hard.
that's like the duality that I look for. And so now I'm getting ready to introduce sound healing into it. That's how it's going to start now. We're going to do some yogic breathing with a sound bowl and some nice healing meditative tones to sort of like really get you into that headspace, and then we'll start with everything else. But yeah, it started off like that because I don't know what's going on out here right now. And I think people don't like each other enough, like for the sex they're having. I think people just have sex out of like boredom and
just trying to release that energy.
Yeah, I mean, it
really
doesn't
care.
release because then they just kind of walk away like feeling like they wasted their time or like disappointed or just like disgusted sometimes. I don't know. I've heard people share a lot of stuff with me. A lot of things with me. It's bad out here.
I have a follow-up. How do you get people to open up to you like that? Or do people like, how did you create a safe space for people?
I didn't know I had created a safe space for a while until probably my radio show. But here's the thing. I feel like I have been on a path to this like lifestyle and these interests since I was like younger. Because people always have felt very comfortable like talking to me. Like even in my family, like I'm the baby and the only girl. But everyone comes to talk to me about all their stuff. Like parents, brothers. Everyone feels comfortable talking to me. Like things that they wouldn't share, they'll share with me. That trickled over into like me when I got to college. I like to just sit outside and people would always just come sit next to me. I've heard many people's life stories. Many people have randomly come to me for relationship advice on like a bench. I was known as the girl on the bench for like my first year of college because I was always on the bench and people would definitely just come and talk to me and they'd be like, I used to always just see you on the bench outside talking to people. And I was like, I didn't know like half of those people that were talking to me. So I feel like people have always felt very comfortable talking to me, and it's because I'm not going to judge you, but I'm also not going to lie to you, even if it's our first conversation. Like if you ask me for my opinion, I'm going to give you a very honest opinion based off of whatever you tell me, you know. And if you don't want it, I'm also gonna be like, do you want to know? You don't want to know? Okay, that's cool. But I'm good at like keeping like a poker face when people are talking and not asking. I ask questions well also.
Okay.
Like I'm really good at asking the right questions. So
you ask people, do you want to hear my opinion?
No. Like, well, my friends and family, I do. But people who come to me on a park bench, I'm assuming that you wanted to hear my opinion because otherwise, why did you just sit here for 45 minutes and tell me 6 of your problems if you didn't want it? And sometimes I like won't say anything and they'll be like, what do you think? And I'll be like, you really want me to tell you? And they'll say yay or nay, and I'll follow through with whatever they say. But I don't want to like ever impose my opinion if you really don't.
Yeah, if you didn't ask for it.
If you didn't ask for it, if you don't
Yeah.
care, like it's not really my business. It's not really even my place. But if you want to know, I'll tell you what I think. But it's still your life. And I always say that too, like, don't be trying to blame me if all your stuff goes left, because all I did was tell you how I felt. But typically, like, people have come back and it's been good advice, good words. So yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy, y'all. We've been here for 1 hour and 25 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. That's wild. Sheesh. All right. So I guess we could wrap it up. If anyone has any parting words, I'll start off with you, Nate. Do you have any parting words?
Nothing. Lex, how can people find you?
People can find me only on Instagram. I don't have anything else. Trust me, it's not me. My Instagram name is High Priestess, not Hey Priestess. HEYE_priestess. That's me. Or you can look up Flex now, because that's like what's the name under the main Instagram name? Whatever that is.
The display name thing.
I
That's
guess.
yours?
Yeah, but
Okay.
Flex is the other name. So yeah, you can find me that way.
Okay.
I'll be excited to hear from you. Hopefully you'll book a session. Book a session. You need it. It's okay.
That's what I was about to say. And how do they book too? Just
Just
shoot you a
DM
DM?
me. I'm very personable right now until I get someone to build me a website with all these capabilities. That's another conversation for later. And I pay though. I'm not,
For sure.
Yeah, for right now, just DM me for anything. Intuitive counseling, tension release, private yoga sessions, wellness plans. I'm here for the people.
I like that. I don't even got no parting words today.
I got a parting word.
Oh, okay,
Go
my
ahead.
bad.
Yeah, my parting word is be intentional with how you experience life while you're here on earth, because life is too long and too short for whatever you're not doing, and whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. So yeah,
That's a part.
Well, I'm about to go meditate on that word. But nah, honestly though, I'm very thankful that you joined us.
oh no
I feel as though it was a very good conversation. Thank you to Nate for even post tension session being like, hey, we should bring Lex on. Thank you for having that thought.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, I feel like it was a really good episode. I enjoyed it. So thanks once again for joining us.
No problem.
So that's it. This is the BYLU Campaign podcast with our host Lex. We talked about wellness, Zen, you know what I'm saying, and just keeping it healthy overall. Yeah, and until next time, BYLU Campaign, we're out.